Hi, welcome to AI for Everyone, the podcast that demystifies artificial intelligence and makes it useful for teachers, students, employees, their employers, administrators, small business owners, and lifelong learners. I'm your host, Brett Hanson. For those of you who've been with me for the beginning of this podcast, welcome back. For those of you who are just getting here, I'm really glad to see you, glad you've joined us. If you want to go back and explore the first 10 episodes and listen to them on Hanson Education Services or Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts, take a look at the titles to see what each one's about. They cover the basics. Now, I'm a 25-year veteran teacher who considers himself an AI realist. I used to consider myself an AI enthusiast, but some things have changed as I learned more and more about AI. I still believe in it strongly. I know it's important, but I also see more clearly the problems and difficulties. And we'll talk about those on this podcast as well. So we're going to look at and explore the good and bad of AI. And my job will be to try to help you navigate this quickly changing technology with confidence and curiosity. Because even though there are problems, we are definitely going to need this in the future. So from now on, the episodes will be available in audio and video formats. So if you're listening on your commute or while walking your dog, you can go to Spotify or Apple Podcasts or HansonEducationServices.com and listen. If you want to watch, you can go to my YouTube channel or Spotify. So I'll be showing how to make it a little bit easier to understand the process, while at the same time trying to stay focused on how I'm explaining things so that listeners can understand. But our structure will remain the same. We'll start with a real-world story, introduce a free or low-cost AI tool, teach a future-ready skill, and then dive a little bit deeper into a big topic. Now, we'll try to have more and more guests on the show, so sometimes all these things will happen with somebody else. Sometimes it'll just be me. Whether you're a beginner or an AI user, ready to level up? Let's get started. So in this episode, number 11, we're exploring the structure of an AI system in a specific workspace. Now, since I'm a teacher, we're going to start with Google's education ecosystem. So I'm going to open up here Google Classroom, and you can see the system or the ecosystem that teachers and educators are working in now. So for me, I want to make sure that I can help my fellow teachers and administrators better understand how to weave these things together, because our ultimate goal is to use it like an operating system. We want to be able to flow through the different tools when they're relevant and use them for efficiency. The story this week is really another chapter of my story. This summer, I've been focused on my ISTE certification. I've been working on a lot of different standards and criteria, and the ISTE certification is a time-consuming, extensive process, but I'm learning a lot from it, and I think it's going to help me be a better teacher and also help me with professional development for people. So there are a lot of slides, a lot of standards, there are different criteria and all kinds of things, and for me, I've always struggled with keeping track of this type of expansive curriculum or work, which I imagine that some people in the business world might need a little help with that. So I decided to use a Google Gem, a Gemini Gem, in order to organize my thoughts, to organize these criteria, and to keep track of all of the work that I've done. And it's been an extremely helpful experience. So if anybody wants to explore custom gems or custom GPTs, they're wonderful ways to use AI very efficiently and really starting to exponentially build on the possibilities of AI. So I have an ISTE advisor. This is my custom gem that I use to better meet the expectations of this expansive certification. Now, the way we build these is relatively simple. So in a custom gem or a custom GPT, you start by putting in a name and then you give it the instructions. And the instructions are basically the skeleton and main functioning of the gem. It will do what you tell it to do within these instructions. You want to give it goals. You want to give it a persona. I told it that it is an expert advisor to complete the ISTE certification process. You give it behaviors and rules. I can tell it not to go to the internet. I can tell it to go to the internet. I give it its overall tone and any other parameters that I want to put on the custom gem. Now, below the instructions is the other essential part, and this is the knowledge base. Now, if I've told it in the instructions not to go to the internet, all of its answers are going to come from the information in the knowledge section. So right now I have the educator final portfolio submission, and I update it regularly, the Google Sheet that I showed you. And I also have a document that includes all of the things I believe my gem needs to know about ISTE. And so what the requirements are, and then anything that I figure out in ISTE and things that I accomplish, I put in here. Now I can also insert that information into the actual chat thread. But once I have this all set, I click update or save, and then I can use this gem as an extraordinarily helpful tool. Now, if you remember from the foundational lessons, we talked about different levels and then the different essentials. So I think that creating a gem like this is probably a level 2 experience. It's something that I would consider, a swimmer, using the water metaphor, would do. And so as I work on this experience and develop these skills, I will get better and better at it. My confidence will grow, and I start to understand custom gems, custom GPTs, and I start to really, even if I don't know what it's called, I'm starting to get a feel for the first levels of agentic AI. So then I can go into the chats from before, and I can look at the questions I asked, and I can ask new ones. Now, in all honesty, ChatGPTs are a little bit better because with a custom GPT, you can share it with other people. And then in ChatGPT, you can create folders if you want to do all this kind of work for just yourself, and they give you a little bit more control. With the custom GPTs, you can share them with other people. They can't work on them, but you can share them. And it's just a matter of time before all these will be able to be shared and worked on if you choose to. Usually, we would talk about how this applies to the bigger picture. But I need to shift gears a bit in this first new formatted episode and bring us back to a really critical point, maybe the most important point or skill or idea we'll explore in this podcast: learning how to learn. In this case, that means me. It's not just about learning to use a specific AI tool or practice a new skill, but learning how to learn and adapt in this new, entirely unique way. Honestly, it's been a little harder than I thought it would be. So I'm using a new tool called Descript to create both the video you might be watching and the audio you might be listening to from a single content experience. It's an amazing piece of technology that uses AI to transcribe my words, lets me edit the audio by simply editing the text, and will even clone my voice to fix mistakes. It's exciting, but it's also difficult. The time it takes to learn any new system can be significant. It's a constant process of trial and error, of feeling clumsy before you feel competent. But that's just the reality of keeping up with these incredibly fast changes. Things that I'm asking you to try to consider giving a shot. And there's a potential trap here for me and possibly for you. The danger is that the tool becomes more important than the content that you're trying to create. The context of my story this week, I could get so obsessed with perfecting my ISTE advisor, the gem, tweaking the instructions, uploading just one more document, refining its persona, that I lose sight of the real goal. And honestly, I've spent more time this week building the AI assistant and learning to script than I have actually working on the ISTE portfolio. The process starts to overshadow the purpose, which I will certainly regret as I get closer to my ISTE deadline. Unless I force myself to slow down, pay attention, and find the right balance. Now, this pressure is compounded by a potential source of AI FOMO, the fear of missing out. Every day there's a new model, a new app, a new game-changing tool, new shocking news about Sam Altman and OpenAI or Elon Musk at XAI. It's easy to feel like you're constantly behind, being pulled into the future faster than you can adapt. And this can lead to anxiety, burnout, and making bad decisions instead of thoughtful, strategic ones. We must resist the urge to jump on every new trend without asking if it truly serves our goals, whether in the classroom, the lab, or in our business. And that's why being an AI realist is so important to me now. It's not about being 50% pessimist. It's about seeking a productive balance built on ethical foundations. I think I mentioned that I used AI to create social media reminders, which I follow about half the time. Just because I have these AI reminders doesn't make me good at social media. Well, I've added another type of weekly reminder to keep my eye on the real goal, which is not to become an AI expert. I do want to do that, but the real goal is to become a better teacher and mentor, which means AI efficiency and AI ethics, open-mindedness, and informed criticism. We have to embrace the incredible power of these tools to create, to organize, to learn, while also keeping our eyes open to their flaws and dangers, especially toward people who have less power and wealth than us. We have to understand that every powerful tool is both potentially good and potentially bad. Therefore, since I've talked so much about the pros of AI, next week's episode will be dedicated to exploring some of the cons. We're going to look at some of the darker implications of AI, using examples from journalist Karen Howe's essential book, The Empire of AI, which I just finished. It's a critical discussion we all need to participate in and stay involved in, since AI is only going to get more powerful. Thanks for spending time with me today on AI for Everyone. I hope this episode gave you something useful to think about or something new to try. If you've enjoyed it, please tell your peers and subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you want to watch the videos instead of just listening to the audio, you can go to Spotify or my YouTube channel, which is available on Hanson Education Services. I promise I'll get better at this combined process. You're also invited to join the Hanson Education Services newsletter, where I share bonus tools, practice teaching ideas, real-world examples, and curated updates to help you stay ahead in a world shaped by AI. I promise I don't send them out every week if you don't sign up for the newsletter. To learn more or connect to me directly, visit hansoneducationservices.com, and that's where you'll find all the podcast links, resources, and more ways to grow your AI confidence. Thanks again, and remember, keep learning how to learn.